Hello, my name is Vicky Duffy, and I'm here to talk to you today about my game, Dog Odyssey, and the tagline is not just scrap metal. The genre for this game would be a 2D puzzle platformer, and the format would be co-op, specifically 2 players. The world that this game would take place in would be a cyberpunk-style futuristic world where both people and animals are given cybernetic enhancements to improve their quality of life, which give them unique abilities, and obviously, with them being so prevalent, a lot of them probably end up in junkyards. Our story would start in that junkyard on the outskirts of a major city. The main characters of this game would be Toby, a cybernetically enhanced dachshund that was made to fight other dogs in dog fights, and then Polyp is the personal dog of a man who owns a junkyard, and she was hit by a hyperloop instead of a car, and had to get her cyber enhancements that way. Our story starts when Toby gets dropped off at the junkyard, where he then meets Polyp, a small but very energetic dog. Toby is very frightened by Polyp's exuberance and feels out of place at the junkyard. He knows he isn't trash and that he deserves a better life, yearning to escape the junkyard. Polyp offers to fetch her owner to take Toby to a dog shelter. However, Toby adamantly refuses, clearly terrified of humans. Understanding his fear, Polyp agrees to help him find a way out of the junkyard, offering him hope for a brighter future. The first few levels would be them climbing out of the junkyard, and getting through the many different gates, which would be the puzzle element. Uh, these gates are in place to make sure that Polyp doesn't escape, but she does regularly, which is how she knows how to bypass them. Levels 4 to 6 would be making their way into the city. Polyp has never really been out in the city on her own, but this is where Toby grew up. Levels 7 to 11 would be them exploring the city and becoming closer friends. At about level 12, they would be taken to a pound and have to find out how to escape that. And then at some point at the end of the game, Toby would get a choice where he could stay with Polyp or go off and find his own family. Psychological motivation for players of this game would be to get into a flow state as they complete each of the levels and get more and more interesting character upgrades. The game would also encourage them to connect with the person that they are playing with. The levels would be challenging enough to be interesting, but not so difficult that it would be a steep learning curve for anyone who is looking to get into it. The majority of the game is about the dogs navigating how to leave the junkyard and exploring the city, and each of these would be like the platform levels. And along the way, they build a beautiful new friendship within each other. As you move through each of the levels of the game, you will be able to upgrade and change each dog's prosthetic limbs to do different things to help you be more skilled to solve each of the puzzles that are going to come in the following levels. To win the game, you would have to find Toby a home. There would likely be 2 different endings, one where Toby decides to live with Polyp in the junkyard, one where Toby finds a happy family that has a young daughter that he can play with and befriend. The experience that I would hope people who played this game would have would just be simply a good, happy time. I also think that there would be an underlying story arc about how even after you experience traumatic events, there are still good things in the world to experience. I don't want this game to be challenging for people in a way that is frustrating. I want it to be challenging in a way that is fun. I think there are a lot of games already out there on the market that are challenging and complicated, opposed to games that are just really there as a medium for you to hang out with your friends or partner. Polyp and Toby are kind of a very literal interpretation of a self-made hero, because throughout the game they would make and change themselves very literally with materials to improve themselves. And by the end of the game, they'll be completely different, having shaped themselves to the world around them. I think the world as a whole has a lot more complicated underlying issues and themes that are maybe lightly touched on throughout the game. Obviously, most dogs won't be privy to the intricacies of world politics, but it would discuss more about how animals are treated by humans, how no matter how much society advances, there's always a relationship between humans and dogs. Violence in my video game isn't directly addressed. You can see the traces that human violence on animals has left. But in the game itself, because I'm not personally drawn to violent video games, I didn't like the idea of having a super violent game. And I find that there are plenty of games that do fit that genre, so I wasn't super interested in making a game of that style. My goal with my approach to violence in the game is to show how two creatures who have been harmed by society are capable of working together to overcome their hardship without inflicting any more harm on anyone else. Both Toby and Polyp are dogs seeking community within each other, which makes this game a perfect medium to allow the people who play the game to connect on a deeper level. This allows connection to be both a theme of the game and also an effect of the game. So when I was deciding on how to design this game, I decided to choose dogs that have disabilities and adaptations of those disabilities because I personally have a dog who is blind. So I have wondered throughout my life what different adaptations super technologically advanced societies would give to animals with disabilities. You often see in these cyberpunk worlds human beings with super advanced prosthetic arms that can lift like thousands of pounds or shoot lasers or anything. So I always wonder what animals who live in the same societies would get if they had physical disabilities or if they lost their limbs. Lastly, I would just like to thank you for listening to my presentation. Hopefully it wasn't too jumbled. Um, hope that my idea for the game came through quite well. Thank you for your time, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day.